few questions about Georgia. A couple of recent facts first. President Zelensky called the Georgian government immoral position, I'm quoting them, regarding the Russian invasion, as well as Georgia's decision to block the charter flight scheduled to bring the volunteers from Georgia to Ukraine. And Zelensky recalled the Ukrainian ambassador from Georgia based on that. Also, Georgian Prime Minister Garibashvili said flat out that Georgia will not join any sanctions coming from the West, and he called those sanctions ineffective. Also, Georgian government finalized a deal with Moscow, and now Georgian dairy products will be exported to the Russian Federation. And lastly, Moscow published a list of countries a few days ago, unfriendly list, as they called it, and Georgia was excluded from that unfriendly list. You know, like bearing in mind that 20% of Georgian territory is still occupied by Russia, and my question would be, and also the 30 years of diplomatic relations between US and Georgia, my question, I guess, would be, what would be your reaction of the silence coming from the Georgian government, you know, in light of those facts that I just laid out? Thank you. I might have one follow-up on that. Thank you.
Well, I will say when it comes to Georgia that few countries understand to the same extent the potential implications and consequences of Russian aggression than a country like Georgia, a country that in 2008 was itself invaded by Russian forces. There are many Georgians who, of course, still harbor stark memories of that. And I can only imagine there are many Georgians who are standing in the government and private citizens who are standing in solidarity with their counterparts in Ukraine. In 2014, when Russia last aggressed against Ukraine, last invaded Ukraine, 100 countries signed on to the resolution in the UN General Assembly condemning that act. In 2016, when Russian forces were bombarding the Syrian town of Aleppo, 122 countries came and signed on to the condemnation of that action. The fact that 141 countries across the globe have spoken to this speaks to the fact that we are working and we are speaking with one voice, the strength that they carry. Yes?
And very, very lastly, the fact itself that Zelensky is recalling the ambassador from Tbilisi, and the fact that the Prime Minister of Georgia is calling those sanctions ineffective, do you think that is a concerning signal coming from Georgia, the country that is still occupied by Russia?
We are calling on all countries to stand up for not only the sovereignty, the territorial integrity, and the independence of Ukraine, really what is at the center of this conflict, but to stand up for the broader principles that are at the heart of the rules-based order that have undergirded 70 some years of unprecedented levels of stability, of security, of prosperity the world over. The same principle that Russia violated in 2008 when Russian forces invaded Georgia is the same principle that Vladimir Putin is violating today. The idea that borders should be inviolable, that big states, big countries, big nations cannot bully small countries, small nations, the idea that might does not equate to right, all of these things are at stake. And so that's why, whether in Europe, whether in the Indo-Pacific, anywhere in between, we have called upon countries the world over to stand with Ukraine and to stand with these broader principles.